Excellent. Well, over to you, Brinley, for your case study.
Thank you very much. Cool. Yeah, so this is my case study for the Prod MBA cohort 5, I believe I'm in. So I just want to start basically by highlighting where I was at the beginning of this course, both skill set wise and sort of product knowledge. So on day one, I began the course with less than 9 months experience in product, so relatively new to the world of business, but also specifically the world of product and what that actually means and the expectations that businesses have of you as an individual. The skills that I felt I had were mostly derived from previous jobs and my degree. So I felt really fluent with data. As soon as I came into my current role, I hit the ground running with lots of data-driven projects. I think of myself as a really strong communicator. So there was a lot of managing stakeholders from the get-go. Product delivery and feature specification are sort of coupled together because we had external developers who work on our product. So this was sort of day-to-day activities for me. At the time when I began the job and when this course began, I felt there were lots of product owner, product manager roles that weren't being delegated to me. I was part of a 2-person team. I was very much doing operational, data-driven stuff in the background, and my manager was in charge of the sort of bigger picture, the road mapping, the vision of the product. I found myself really wanting to upskill myself at this stage, hence why I began doing this course. And then this was accelerated further by my manager moving on to a new role and my company wanting to fast track me into a product owner role. So I wouldn't describe myself as, wide-eyed and bushy-tailed at this point, but on day one of the course, I really did sort of dive headfirst into it. I was really excited. It looked really practical. And just from reading the product description of Prod MBA and the course syllabus, I'd already come up with a solution. I had an idea for a product. I had a solution, but I hadn't even considered a problem. I hadn't even considered who the target audience would be. I just had envisioned something in my head that I thought was really neat and thought that could really gain traction. Later on, I would learn that this is the main issue between the MVO and the MVP. So then I had to take a step back from when I began the course and really evaluate a problem, find a problem, and then really drill into who the niche was. And with Henry's help, I found out that my problem was going to be that HR teams are currently worried about integrating new employees in the digital workspace. As you can imagine, as a fairly new starter who started his role during the pandemic, this was something that was quite personal to me. And I believed it to be a real niche problem, one that, might be keeping managers and HR teams up at night when they've got long periods of onboarding with new members of staff. So the first objective was to achieve problem market fit. This was done by, so I wanted to validate, that digital onboarding is a real and acute problem for HR teams. So I did this by doing 4 deep dive interviews. And what I found out from this in short was that this was a very real problem. What I found really interesting was one of 2 things. Firstly, that this was a problem for the employer and the employees. So the niche was actually then split into 2. You had people who were feeling alienated by when they start a new job online. They're sitting in their kitchen at home and they're supposed to be understanding the values of a company and their position within the business. But then you also had the other side that I'd originally considered, the managers, the HR teams, who were really thinking, oh God, there's a new person here. Do they know what they're doing? Do they know how they fit in? On top of that, secondly, the niche was very real, yes, but it was far, far wider than I first conceived. So I've really found out that, yeah, I could maybe pivot back here. But at this stage, I sort of took stock and thought, this is great. I've definitely validated there's a problem here. And I've completely reversed my opinion from day one, where I was just trying to validate a solution because I thought I'd come up with something really cool. I spun that on its head, and I'm now looking at the problem and I'm drilling into the niche. Just a small mention to the calls I made. So I was speaking with talent acquisition managers, HR manager, and then an office manager as well. And then it was at this stage that I then increased my reach a little bit to try and include just more managers. As I said, the niche wasn't just HR teams. It was also really anybody in a management position. Was then able to collate these notes, try find trends in the data, and flip these into frustrations, and then in turn flip these into opportunities for the product. So at this stage, I'm still purely focused on the problem. I'm being presented with opportunities, but solutions are still further down the road, which is such a mental shift for me at the start of this course. As I said, I could have really pivoted to increase the scope of my niche and validate the problem further, because effectively I was encompassing anybody in a management position. It wasn't just the HR teams that I originally mentioned in my problem statement. Simply due to time constraints, I wasn't able to pivot and make loads more calls. As I mentioned, I did go back and was able to reach out to another person who is the founder of a small company, and definitely, got validation of the problem there, and was presented with lots of, unique opportunities that this product could move forward with. But nonetheless, I was able to create my product vision, which was we help hiring teams create high impact employees, really short, really to the point, and hopefully really strikes a chord with the niche in question. So at this stage, as I said, I validated my niche. I've determined my product vision. So now it was time to determine my MVO, my minimum viable offer. So there's two things that I utilized that were really helpful for me personally. The first of which was the product story canvas. So this is where I took apart the journey that was illicit in what my niche were telling me. So I was able to then flip that into this opportunity. So right, these are all the problems they're having. How am I going to try and solve this? What is the journey they are going on? And for me, I found this quite cathartic. I thought it was a really good way to really get into the head of the niche, the person that is going to be using this product. A product is a transformation. What is the transformation? What is the journey they're going through? This I thought was just really helpful in consolidating the niche and what they would expect from the product. Secondly, I really got a lot out of the blue ocean strategy. As somebody who's fairly new to product and specifically into this sort of hiring niche, I wasn't really too sure about what the problem space was like and what the solutions were like. So you can see here on the graph in red, I've got emails and pretty good way to onboard someone. It's the majority of how I was onboarded in my job, a series of instructions and tasks that are given to you either on a phone or on email. There were other services available like Typelane and Lessonly that are really onboarding specific, where you can create entire like onboarding journeys for people. But what I found in gaps in the market is that nothing had shifted since the pandemic. Everything was a sort of, oh, this is a bonus on top of being in the office. You come into the office and then you log into your Lessonly and you're able to see what your tasks are for the day. Nothing had been converted to the whole world are working from home now. So how is this any different? Do we need to change the product? So I found that there was real gaps in the market for this mental health care, this company transparency, this sense of belonging to a business and a company, and that sort of intimate communication you have with somebody. Again, this came out of the problem and the opportunities that were identified for my niche, and just reminding you that none of that would have been possible had I just driven ahead with the solution that I thought was cool. I wouldn't have been able to do any of this at all. So bouncing between these two methods, I was able to arrive at the following MVO. So we help hiring teams craft high impact employees through seamless onboarding. Really to the point, we're working with hiring teams, we're getting people on board, and we're making them effective in the business as fast as possible. So the key results I got personally, I really understood the desired transformation of the niche and what they required of the product via the story canvas. And I was able to highlight potential unique selling points via the blue ocean strategy. So now that I've determined the MVO, I've determined my MVO and I haven't considered the nature of the product yet. At this stage, I didn't know if it was a physical product. Is it going to be a digital product? I've only considered the problem space and the solution space. To me, I mean, that was inconceivable when I started the course, that I would be validating a problem without having a physical product in mind. Like, I think if you explain that to your average Joe, it doesn't make sense and it sounds like you're talking rubbish, but you see that when you work at it from the ground up, it's actually incredibly logical.
So moving, it's something that, sorry to interrupt, it's something that's talked about a lot and it's in every book, but very few people actually follow it in practice.
Absolutely, yeah. It's something that as I'll come to mention with my company, that it's something that just is not ingrained in us as a product at all. And I found it fascinating. And within a couple of weeks, I was really not openly, but I was picking holes in what people were doing at my business and saying this, we're starting at the wrong spot here. So moving forward, you had to then validate the product vision. I set up a link to a new website, and I followed up with some emails to the interviewees that I initially interviewed. Got some really nice positive feedback and sort of confirmation. They're like, yeah, this exactly sounds like what we would need as a product. So then the third objective that had come across was then eventually deciding on the product. What's it going to be? What's it going to look like? How can users interact with it? So the main thing that helped here was the lean canvas. So this is stripping apart everything that I've done so far and drilling into the core and saying, right, how are we going to solve this problem? I won't go through the entirety of it here, but you can see that I've got the problem was just inefficient and alienating remote onboarding. You know, as I mentioned, just endless streams of emails and calls, and there's no sense of belonging or care for the individual. And that's really the USP that I found for this product. We were going to care for this starter, and we're going to get them. So we're caring for them, which is the employees' journey, but we're also ensuring they have a high impact, which looks after the employer's journey here. And I thought the best way to achieve this was through personalized onboarding consultancy. So this way you'd be able to do deep dives into companies' onboarding strategies and try and help them bridge that digital gap with this personalized and really specific training. Another method that helped me decide on the product was then using the strategic roadmap and really envisaging, right, in the next 2 weeks, in the next 6 months, in the next year, what would this product look like? So after a workshop with a colleague, came up with some sort of key opportunities, came up with some key solutions around our MVO, assess the impact and effort of this, and then put some sort of rough key results around it in timelines. So one of the main things that came out of the conversations with my niche was the desire to have a buddy. So somebody that you can tap on the shoulder. They're not necessarily management. They, at the very most, they're on the same level as you in company structure, but just somebody that you can talk to. You can talk to them about, you can tap them on the shoulder and talk to them about the weather. You can talk to them about a manager. You can talk to them about a process. You can ask them where to find or how to operate a specific company software. This was the most key thing that came out of my calls. So this was something that I would want to promote in the first instance, and that's why I gave it such a short time frame, because I think this would really focus. This would be the core of the consultancy. And really getting the company on board with the program. Then I was going to start looking at other methods that we came up with. So it was, hiring in groups rather than individually, so that you feel instantly you're feeling a sense of team and togetherness. And then in the long term, what would be really interesting is if you were able to aggregate some sort of database from different companies in different sectors of different sizes, and seeing if there's any trends in things that work and things that don't work. So, like, if the companies that have instigated a buddy and you use bulk hiring have a 80% retention rate compared to 50% retention rate when they don't do this, something like that, something that we can really have concrete evidence. And then at that point, you can then en masse advertise to more companies, because you've got more reputation. You can say, these are all the people we've worked with. Here's all the satisfaction we've got out of it. And this one I just really felt driven by it, because it's satisfaction for both the employer and the sort of mental health and the well-being of the employee. So the key results from this objective, as I've said, so determined to proceed with a knowledge-based product, and on top of that, the lean canvas and the strategic roadmap really helped to evaluate the value and feasibility of this product. On a personal note, it was also just really useful because it consolidated all the work I'd done up to this point. So as it may have been sort of evident, only a few calls were able to be done, and there was minimal sort of offer validation at this stage as well. And this is purely just down to time constraints. The work commitments I've had have been a little bit bonkers over the last month or so. So I made the conscious decision to keep on top of all the coursework, but apply these pieces of theory in the latter stages of the course to a major project that I was working on at work. So I could do a whole presentation on this in itself, but I won't. But basically, we're launching a new version of our current product that's called V3. As of today, it's going to be launched in 10 days' time. And I've been sort of put in charge since my manager left. I've been put in charge of the delivery of this. So there's communication between external developers, both current developers and our new developers that we're working with. There's communication with the actual end users who use the product, who are going to get migrated over. And then there's lots of internal work as well going on and making sure that the whole business is aligned around this project. So what I decided to do is use all the learnings from this course and pivot it into this new product delivery, because I really quickly realized that I was doing everything that was in this course. I wasn't finding the time to do it for my product on the course, but I was doing it in real life day to day. So customer journey mapping. We spent loads of time working on optimal flows for users, speaking with users externally and internally, and aligning everybody around a new vision. We had rapid validation with internal stakeholders. I was wireframing also with internal stakeholders as well as our external development team to optimize user journey, UX, UI, everything like that. And then most importantly, we've been iterating basically what I didn't realize at the time what it was, but then after doing this course, I realized I've been doing a product market fit engine to get the most from our customers, and specifically our high experience customers. And I just want to dive into that a little bit in detail. So basically, the product market fit engine we've been using is a mix of quantitative and qualitative data acquisition. It's all from real customers, nothing is fabricated, and we had a real element of not leading the jury.
Sorry, has this been done?
Saying, isn't this a great feature? Sorry,
has this been done since Prod MBA or before?
This has been ongoing for the last sort of 4 weeks.
Oh right, okay. Oh wow, okay.
So the product is getting delivered on the 23rd of August. And basically since mid-July, we've been getting in touch with customers. So this has been sitting on calls with high experienced customers. We have what are called key objective learners. And these are people that are experts in our product. Alongside super users, we're getting them on calls. We're asking them what they think of the product, what their feedback is. And then from there, we're recording these calls and reviewing them. We're getting them transcribed. And then we're capturing all these trends in the feedback. We're adding them to a backlog. And then I've been applying a Moscow prioritization rubric against these to determine what must we include, what is blatantly obvious from customer experience that we have to include in the product. As you can imagine, in the sort of tail end of a product delivery, things can get a little bit tight and can get a little bit rushed, but it was really important to remember that the product is not for us. We might have biases, but at the end of the day, the people paying for the product and the people getting value out of the product is the end user. So I was really trying to prioritize these key trends that were coming up in all of these calls. So as I said, we then deployed these major changes to ensure that we had product market fit. I had to make loads of external calls, but it was great because it showed that we were a really agile business. Somebody says, "Oh, this is a nightmare. I cannot have this." We turn around in 2 weeks, it's gone, and we can present it to them and show them, look, this is the value. We care about your opinion, and we will make changes if we see value in your opinion. And on top of that, there was loads of internal comms as well. You've constantly, especially the late 8 stages of a product delivery cycle, there's going to be a lot of last minute changes. People are going to get frustrated. So you've really got to work hard to align everybody around your product values and really what you're trying to deliver. So this is something that I literally showed to the CEO of the company from all the feedback we've got. And you can see the words that just stand out. You've got good, you've got looks, intuitive, sticking out right in the middle. And that was just such a win for me, because I was feeling we've done this wireframing, we've done this user journey, and people are coming back to us and they're openly saying it is intuitive, which, without going into detail on the current product, people are not finding it intuitive. So this was a huge win. As I said, this is something I was literally showing to the CEO of our company. So really positive outcome from this. So just to sort of pivot back then, as I said, very new to product. What I was looking to get out of this course, just a sort of rapid upskill, really put myself out of my comfort zone basically, and try learn lots of new skills. In terms of where I am now, I feel within the company, I'm being fast tracked into this product owner role. I'm really keen to run some workshops specifically around Blue Ocean and Product Canvas, because I think those are really fun group activities that we can use to sort of realign people around the business. And I think this is a great time, since we're launching a new platform, that you can hit a sort of small reset button as well. I want to really drive this data-driven problem-solving mindset within the company. And I want to completely bin the idea of the MVP, because this is the project that we're currently delivering, that my manager started, is double, I think it's twice over budget, and it's about 6 months late, and it's all because of this just feature factory and this endless cycle of trying to spin out cool and neat ideas. But as a SaaS product, I really do focus on the tech side of things. But I want to try and push key product principles through the team as well. So as I said, we need to create, we don't have an MVO as a business. So I want to create an MVO and really rally everybody around this, and try and make sure that everybody understands, right, what is our unique selling point above our competitors. And on a personal note, you know, I've referenced this peak product manager thing quite a lot over the last sort of 10 weeks. I'm really trying to strive to sort of tick off as many of these areas as I can, or as I see fit. But the key things that I'm going to be taking from this course, and hopefully I think I've improved on, is becoming more in tune with customers. You know, customers give you 100% of your money and 90% of your best ideas, as my director says. So becoming more in tune with these customers is absolutely vital to the success of the product. Now that I'm in a bit more of a senior role, or as of next month, I'll be in a more senior role, I want to start focusing more on the sort of visioning of the company. So road mapping, I'm really ensuring that we're constantly iterating to have product market fit and moving with the problem space. And finally, as I mentioned, like, I really want to align the business with our niche. What is the problem they're having? How are we solving it? And as we said at the sort of top of this, product's all about transformation. And I want to make sure that everybody understands this is the positive impact, this is the positive transformation that we're having on our customers. So that's everything from me for my case study. Just a small section about myself here. I don't know if you want me to keep going through this.
No, don't worry. We'll just keep it up when we.
Yeah.
No,
so sorry.
No, don't worry. We'll just keep it up as
cool.
as a summary. Awesome, Brinley. I thought that was really, really good. I'll cover general points actually after. So what I'm going to do now is just bang through some bullet points on the presentation, and then talk about some general feedback. So I love the first slide. That reflection, I thought, was excellent. Showed a lot of maturity as well, and self-awareness, which is, you know, powerful in any aspect of life. And you know, it takes a lot of maturity to recognize that you jumped into an MVP. Like, obviously, you know, our content is there to help you realize that. But, you know, super experienced people, heads of product directors, they constantly make that mistake. So you've caught that early in your career. As you sort of transitioned into the problem, I thought it was really, really good storytelling. It was something you did throughout. You know, you explained why did this problem slide suddenly appear? Right, your bridging was very good, your tone, and when you paused to talk about the problem, the tone was really good, the statement was really clear as well. That was really good. On the objective one, again, your storytelling was great. You're explaining, you know, what is this objective on this page, right? Why are we talking about it, and how we're going to deliver it with the key results. Transition super well. It was a really nice bridge with your points. Your storytelling again was really good when you went, you know, what I found really interesting was these two things. You signaled what was coming up, and you're getting curiosity going. Which again, you know, if you get a load of busy tech executives in a room, you've got to hook them in. It sounds like, you know, they're not rational. They're not going to sit there just taking notes and paying perfect attention. So you've got to treat them like kids in a way.
Yeah.
Right. So use these little tricks. So that was excellent. It was really engaging. And you also, you know, you implicitly showed the value of discovery. You know, you showed, wow, I spun it on its head and started to really understand what was going on. You're going, this is why we talk to customers. Because, hey, we just saved, you could even pause and say this, yeah, we saved 500,000 quid not building this thing. Yeah, make it really crystal clear and concrete. I thought it was really mature when you pivoted very quickly and you broadened the niche. You're sort of following your intuition, informed by data and informed by the theory, which is great. Showed a lot of maturity. Your signaling was really good. You went, at this stage, I'm still focused on the problem. So you make it clear, this is why we're talking about the problem and all this discovery stuff, which is great. One criticism, you said, right, it's time to validate my MVO. People have no idea what an MVO is. So, if you're introducing it, just make sure you pause and say the MVO, minimum viable. What we're trying to do with this is essentially validate where value is in the market before committing to building a solution, for example.
Yes, using the right language when you're reaching out to customers.
Or even just avoid, if you're doing it as internally, just avoid complicated terms that might get misinterpreted, rather than MVP, talk about prototype, for example. Right. Story canvas, great explanation of why this was helpful. Good memory around, product is a transformation. I think keep that statement in mind, repeat it. Constantly repeat it to people. It's a kind of message you want to just hammer home.
I think if I had it my way, I think we'd have it on the wall in the office.
That kind of thing.
I think it's key.
Yeah, definitely. Blue Ocean, great, to be honest. You said, I wasn't sure what the problem was. Or that's a key part of leadership, honesty. You're never going to know everything. Nobody knows everything. We don't know everything. And your storytelling was good because you sort of brought in this great unique insight you had. It's like, well, nothing's shifted since COVID. Like that's genuinely surprising. And there's this gap in the market that there's, people are lonely, they're feeling a lack of sense of belonging, for example. And you showed the value of discovery. These came out of the problem. None of this would have been possible if I'd driven ahead with a solution. So again, you're hammering that point home. Like, we are saving a load of money. Let's do discovery. You're selling this process to stakeholders by doing so. On the objective 2, MVO was read out really well. It's a good statement as well, really clear and concrete. And again, a really good flow from here's why we're talking about this objective, and then here's why these key results make sense. You flowed really well. The landing page, good. Great, you talked through the validation. Again, it helps you sell it. If you go, hey, we had real people come and sign up to this landing page, it's quite hard to argue with that. So again, you're going to get really good at influencing, getting buy-in. Lean Canvas, good explanation, excellent. Actually, I thought it was really, really good. And on the roadmap, sorry, just complete blank about my note there. What did I write about? Yeah, you signaled really well. That was it. Yes, you reinforced your points on the strategic roadmap. Like, another way that helped me decide what the product was going to be was a strategic roadmap. Here's what it is, why it's important, and how I used it. Final 2 points. Knowledge-based product. That doesn't mean anything to anyone outside of Prod MBA. So, just simple terms like, we're going to do some consultancy to start, for example.
Right.
Minor thing. I'm going to push you always. Product market fit engine. I thought this was awesome. It's so good to see you use the word cloud. It's such a simple thing, but it's just effective. And again, it's really hard. It's really hard for someone to argue against that if you come into a room like, bang, here's what everyone's talking about.
Yeah. And in terms of a communication piece, it's absolutely invaluable because, as I said, I showed it to the CEO. The CEO doesn't want, he asked for what's been what's the feedback been like. He doesn't want to read through 50.
Yeah, it doesn't have time as well.
He doesn't have time. Well, I mean, nobody wants to read through 50 messages, but he doesn't have the time to sit down and go through it all. And I don't have the time right now to be curating it all in like a really clever way or anything like that. So literally chucking it into a word cloud, as you say, it does the job.
That's the kind of thing you can have on a wall, if you have a live custom built thing, or there are some tools now like engine.fit where it will create that automatically for you. You have that on a wall on a live screen.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah.
But yeah, look, generally I thought it was awesome. It showed a lot of maturity. Again, your storytelling was very strong. The logic of your arguments were very good. You weren't just reading off like, here are the slides that we gave you, and that's always great to see.
Yeah.
And I think general comments from the 8 weeks, similar themes really. In your case, I don't have a huge amount to say. You first point, you stepped up. Someone quite junior, you stepped up 100%. Don't worry about not building out a prototype. The strategic stuff is the important stuff for you, right? Week 1 to 5, that's the big stuff, and you're already applying it, and that shows a big maturity. You're already tailoring it to your role. Again, that shows maturity and working smart. That's generally the theme. Point 3, maturity. Again, I noted down. great. I mean, awesome to see that you know, even at the tail end of a project, there's a lot of pressure, but you are saying, no, if it's not a priority, we're not going to do it. Right? We need to integrate. We need to deliver value. That's great to see. Made a similar point with John about, you know, be really firm on your vision and your principles. Be flexible on how you might deliver things, but be really firm on that. It's going to serve you well. And final 2 points. Don't bin the MVP. So like MVP is super valuable. It's a really good process, but exactly, I know what you mean. It's make sure that you're validating that there's going to be value in this space. And then MVP is the right approach. Talk about prototyping though, because then it avoids confusion. And I think, you know, final point, I think just be really confident. Like, you know, I always write down next steps, and it's not complicated in your case. Just do what you're doing, which is you're putting stuff into practice. You're being mature. You're being self-aware. You're clearly learning from putting things into practice. It's simple as that. And I think, you know, from my side, it's obviously reach out with any questions ongoing. I think the best thing to do is turn up for the AMA in 2 weeks. Just with the Ask Me Anything for any, you know, I'd love to hear, okay, I've applied this framework. I've got a couple of questions about it, you know, so we can really dig in to just make sure that you're applying everything properly. I think it's as simple as that. Like, you're in a good role, you know, you've got space to grow there. You're already seizing that opportunity. So just keep doing what you're doing, really.
Great. Thanks for all the feedback, both positive and constructive. I do really appreciate that.
No, awesome. Happy to help. Well, look, I think have a good weekend. And as I said, look, stay on Slack. Go on I added you to the AMA channel today. So,
oh, really?
Yeah, get that in your diary, because I think that would, you know, again, you're on the right track. Just if I can see, here's how you applied this framework or this other one, then I think that's where there's going to be a lot of value for you moving forward.
Is it on Slack, the AMA? I can't see it. I might not have been added. Oh, it's just, I've just gone on to it and it's updated. Yeah, awesome.
Oh, right. Okay, nice. Yeah, so put that in your calendar and come along with the question or the one after that, and then go from there. But you're in a good position. You know, I think you're exactly where you should be.
Amazing. Thank you very much for all your guidance. It's been a difficult sort of 8-10 weeks, but it has been an enjoyable one and definitely a beneficial one.
Good, because also you've had new role, boss leaving, new project, plus this, which also is more work because you're relatively new to product. So I mean, good. Yeah, I mean, you'll see the dividends pay off though.
Yeah.
Put work in when you're starting out, and it compounds itself over time.
Yeah, exactly.
Done the right thing with it.
Would you like me to send the case study slides or anything? I don't know if you archive these or that's it.
No, you can hang on to them for presenting the concept.
Perfect.
But well, look, have a good weekend, Brinley. We'll stay in touch over Slack and in the community as well.
Great stuff. Cheers. Thanks, Henry. Bye-bye.